Alright, today we're going to do a video about where I'm from, Robeson County, North Carolina. Robeson County is in southeast North Carolina. It's split in half by Highway I-95. It borders South Carolina, and there's about 120,000 residents. Robeson County is number one in crime year after year, both violent and non-violent, and it leads the state in murders per capita. And it goes neck and neck with some of the biggest cities in America per capita for murders. Right now we're at 17 murders, and we ain't made it into the month of May yet. A comparable number would be in New York right now. There would have to be 800 murders as of the day. The equal per capita and what it is here. Same thing with Chicago. Would have to be over 300 murders in Chicago in May of 2023 to equal our murder rate. Now, what we're going to talk about today is something that's quite old. It's an old murder. It's over 30 years old. But it sets the stage for some newer things that I'm going to come along with. The first murder is going to be Jimmy Earl Cummings. Jimmy Earl Cummings was murdered in November of 1986. And what you'll see is it's a systematic thing of how that happened. And no less than a year later, it was Zabitosky, nicknamed Doodlebug, was murdered in November of 1987. Now, these murders triggered a lot of things in the county and some big national news stories, but we'll make them videos when we get through with what we're doing now. What we're about to talk about is some excerpts from a movie or a documentary called The Takeover, which the takeover happened and involved one of my good friends, a fellow by the name of Timothy Jacobs, and a guy by the name of Eddie Hatcher. I'm going to put a link to that video in the description. There's a video about Zabitosky's murder as well, but for some reason I can't find it on the internet no more, so it's been scrubbed. But we'll go on in and jump into the excerpt from The Takeover.
Around that time, there had been a safe robbery involving a fellow named Hugh James Bullard, and we knew about that. And it was sort of a setup job where the person that owned the safe wanted to collect a good size of insurance money. So he tells Bullard and another cohort of Bullard that if you come to my place of business at a certain time, you'll find this safe, and you'll find inside something like $14,000, I think, and some cocaine, and you can have everything that's in there, and then I will claim that there was $250,000 and get the insurance. That was sort of the scam that was underway. Well, after they actually get the safe and tear it apart, they find the stuff in there, but they also find a bunch of other things. And they're basically functional illiterates and didn't know what it was, but they knew it was something.
Now, you see in that clip they were talking about a safe. Well, what they don't tell you in that clip, which they'll go on to talk about the documents that was located in the safe. But what they won't talk about is the cocaine. Now, what makes the cocaine such a pivotal point is that cocaine left that community and went to another community, and that's where Jimmy Earl Cummings comes into play. Earl Cummings got his hands on that cocaine. And the big pivotal point about that cocaine was it was from a drug bust. It was from a drug bust that the sheriff's son, Hubert Stone, his son, Kevin Stone, was one of two people that had possession of the keys to the evidence locker. And also, Kevin Stone was responsible, him and his brother, Keith Stone, who is a sheriff still to this day. He's the sheriff. He's the county sheriff for Nash County, North Carolina, Keith Stone. These two fellows, they were the only two that had the keys to the evidence locker, and it was an evidence building. It was his own. It was housed in its own building, and the story goes that the cocaine was supposed to be destroyed. Now, Mr. Cummings didn't have all of the cocaine. He just had a certain amount of it. But what he was in possession of was the wrappers, the evidence bags with the numbers on it. And it would have traced right back to Kevin Stone. Because he had actually signed out a sheet where this evidence had been destroyed. So that's, when we go into this next clip, it's going to explain what happened with Mr. Cummings and Kevin Stone.
Well, you had a lot of unrest that was generated by the Jimmy Earl Cummings shooting, and the way that things were handled, the coroner's inquest, the way that was handled, it created a lot of questions, a lot of people's minds, and a lot of questions that are not answered today and never will be answered, I guess.
And in the telling of things, it became absolutely clear to me that the sheriff's department was corrupt, that they were involved in drug trafficking, that they were probably involved directly or indirectly in some homicides.
One night on a rural back road, Jimmy Earl Cummings, a suspected drug dealer, was pulled over by Sheriff Hubert Stone's son, Deputy Kevin Stone. Cummings allegedly swung a plastic bucket at Stone. Stone fired, killing Cummings. A hastily called coroner's inquest determined the shooting to have been either accidental or an act of self-defense. A great many Robeson County residents were disturbed by the ruling.
Now, what we jump into on this one is Edward Zabitosky. Now, like I said, less than a year later, Edward Zabitosky was murdered by a sheriff's deputy. And the video I spoke of, it's been scrubbed, I can't find it, was from a local TV station. And they interviewed two people. One was a relative of Zabitosky, and one was an associate of Zabitosky. Zabitosky was what all people would consider a drug dealer. And he had a feud with one of the sheriffs over a lady. Well, just so happened the person he had the feud with was Kevin Stone once again. But this time, the deputy that ended Mr. Zabitosky's life wasn't Kevin Stone, it was another deputy. And I'm going to refrain from using his name at the moment because he is still alive, which Kevin Stone and Keith Stone is still alive. Hubert Stone passed away. And there's other elements to this, but I'm not going to dive into them right now. But Mr. Zabitosky was shot in the back. And this next video is going to go into the coroner's inquest. That's the sticking point of what made it plausible for the sheriff and his deputies to get away with things like that, because, you know, everybody worked together. And it wasn't only the sheriff, it was the sheriff and the district attorney and the coroner. If you got these three people playing ball together in a county, and North Carolina or most counties, there's nothing people that live in the county can do about it. There's literally nothing. People would say, well, you would call it state police. Well, that's the thing. Inside of a county, the sheriff is the executive branch of government in that county. There's nothing. The state police is called in on request by either the sheriff or the district attorney. They don't show up on their own. The only other person that can send them into Robeson County or any other county is the governor, the lieutenant governor, or the attorney general, in that order. If the sheriff shoots somebody if the sheriff shoots somebody today, and him and the district attorney are pals, well, the district attorney can choose not to charge him. Then it would be up to either the governor, the lieutenant governor, or the attorney general to send the state police to investigate it.
Jimmy Earl Cummings' mother is still bitter about the investigation into her son's shooting. The family got less than 4 hours' notice of the coroner's inquest.
Why couldn't they let us know the day before that or the day before it was going to have Jimmy Earl inquest a Thursday night, a Friday night? Why didn't they come a Thursday, a Wednesday, and told us that they were going to have it, and so we could have got us a lawyer?
The coroner ruled the shooting was either accidental or self-defense. That ruling outraged the Indian community, and for the first time, Indians, blacks, and whites protested together. From that point on, any death or murder in the county raised suspicion. It was as if the poor and frustrated had finally found a cause, right or wrong, to believe in. They now had a crusade.
Now what you see there is the parent and how distraught it was about the situation. Well, the other video I wanted to get in there, it speaks about Zabitosky. He had the same exact thing happen in his case. And the detail that they don't go into is this. The district attorney, Joe Freeman Britt, the most deadliest prosecutor in the world, Guinness Book of World Record holder, he came in and ordered a coroner's inquest. And see what this is, and what people don't realize is it's a trial. But it's basically, if you got the coroner bought and paid for, it's a box trial. And what the coroner's inquest is, the coroner will come in there, the deputy will, or whoever, will say, well, this is how it happened. And the coroner say, well, that looks like that's how it happened. That's the case closed. They won't even formally charge anybody. Now, North Carolina is a self-defense state, but you automatically get charged every time there's a wrongful death. I mean, or a non-natural death. Somebody's always charged. But that happened in both cases, and both of the trials together. If you put them together, both coroner inquests lasted less than 30 minutes. Both of them combined, both Jimmy Earl Cummings and Edward Zabitosky's. So this is the first in a couple series I'm gonna do in what I'm gonna call Robeson County Corruption. And thanks for watching. Like, share, and subscribe. I'm gonna try to do some other stuff besides this. I'm gonna try to do live panels with other auditors. Hash out things, law, tactics, strategy, equipment, editing, all the things that will go into making a YouTube channel for journalism, auditing, cop watching, freedom fighting, whatever kind of thing we want to do that retains our rights and rights wrongs. I'm going to try to do an all-encompassing panel, and it'll be open to most people. Once again, folks, signing off.